Gemini, listen closely, because May 8th, 9th, and 10th aren't just ordinary days. They're a cosmic doorway. A rare alignment between Mercury, Venus, and the Moon is creating a ripple that reaches straight into your life. And here's the truth. You've felt it, haven't you? A subtle shift, a quiet urge to change something, but you can't quite explain why. This isn't coincidence. It's divine timing. Buddhist wisdom calls it Karla, the sacred moment, when your inner energy finally meets the outer opportunity. In this video, you'll discover 6 powerful numbers connected to this unique window. But this isn't about lucky digits alone. It's about alignment, intuition, and becoming the version of yourself you've been delaying. So Gemini, will you answer the call? Before we begin, let's activate the energy hit, that like button, subscribe and turn on the bell so you won't miss more life-changing insights. And here's your first step. Comment below, I welcome growth and harmony into my life. That single action sets a powerful intention and opens the door to abundance. Now let's dive into the first number. Part 1, number 7, the silent awakening and spiritual knowing. There are numbers that shout with intensity, loud, bold, full of drama. And then there's the number 7. It doesn't scream. It whispers for Gemini, who often dances between thoughts, conversations, and infinite possibilities. The number 7 brings a rare and sacred invitation. Pause, go inward, awaken silently. In both Buddhist philosophy and spiritual numerology, 7 is not just a lucky number. It's the number of inner knowing, solitude, and enlightenment. It represents the spiritual seeker's path, the kind that isn't lit by outside applause, but by the quiet torch of intuition. This number appears when the universe is asking you not to do more, but to listen more deeply, to shift from the mind to the heart, from reaction to reflection. You already know. The number 7 says, you just haven't slowed down long enough to trust what you hear. Let's be honest. How often have you second-guessed your gut feelings? How many times did you feel a nudge, a tug, a gentle whisper, only to override it with logic, overthinking, or fear of judgment? The number 7 shows up to remind you your greatest breakthroughs rarely begin with noise. They begin with stillness. Let me share a story. There was once a Gemini woman named Claire who worked in a busy hospital in Boston. Brilliant, fast-paced, admired for her sharpness. But deep down, she felt disconnected from herself, her path, and even her purpose. One night, overwhelmed and alone in the break room, she closed her eyes and asked herself, is this really the life I'm meant to live? There was no voice from the sky, no dramatic sign, just a deep sense of no, followed by a whisper, start writing. It made no sense. She was a nurse, not a writer, but she honored it. Every night after her shift, she journaled. 3 months later, she turned her reflections into a blog. That blog went viral. Within a year, Claire had created a healing platform for medical workers around the world. That, my friend, is the magic of 7. It doesn't demand logic. It invites trust in Buddhist teachings. Enlightenment isn't a bolt of lightning. It's often described as the moment when the dust settles and the mind becomes still enough to reflect the truth already within. So if the number 7 has appeared for you now, it's asking, will you create silence in a noisy world? Will you give your inner voice the same respect you give data and opinions? Will you recognize that spiritual wealth often precedes material wealth? Because clarity doesn't come from outside. It's born in the quiet space where your soul can finally breathe. As May 8th to 10th draws near, let number 7 be your guide. Not toward effort, but toward awareness. Not toward force, but toward flow. Let your intuition lead. The next opportunity isn't waiting out there. It's waiting inside you. patiently like a prayer, waiting to be answered. Part 2, number 5, freedom, detachment, and letting the wind guide you. Freedom. It's a word we all crave. But the number 5 reminds us that true freedom isn't just about escape. It's about surrendering with wisdom. In both Buddhist teachings and numerology, the number 5 is the energy of the traveler, the seeker, the soul that learns by moving, not by clinging. It symbolizes liberation through flexibility, not forced detachment, not disconnection. For you Gemini, who already dances between worlds of ideas, 5 isn't here to push you faster. It's here to teach you how to float with the wind instead of fighting the current. Buddhism teaches that detachment isn't about giving up on life. It's about engaging without grasping, showing up fully, then letting go of the outcome. But that's easier said than done, right? You might be like many Geminis, brilliant planners always calculating, preparing, protecting yourself against chaos. But what if the thing you're resisting is actually the breakthrough you need? Let me share a story. Sophie, a Gemini from Seattle, had worked in corporate communications for nearly 12 years. Every day was predictable. Every meeting scripted. Inside, she was suffocating. But from the outside, she was successful. One day, stuck in traffic and scrolling through a podcast, she stumbled on a random interview with a traveler who taught yoga in foreign countries. Something clicked. It didn't make sense logically, but it stirred her soul. Within 2 months, she requested a sabbatical, took a risk, booked a one-way ticket to Bali, not forever, just to breathe again. And in that space, ideas flowed. Her body healed. She met collaborators. She launched a storytelling workshop for remote workers, and within a year she had replaced her corporate salary, doing what made her feel alive. That's the breath of number 5, a soft wind that says, what if there's another way? It doesn't mean you have to throw everything away. It means you're invited to loosen your grip, especially where fear has become disguised as control. Ask yourself, where am I holding on too tightly? What decision have I been delaying out of fear of instability? What would I say yes to if I trusted life more? Number 5 is about movement that liberates, not movement that distracts. It's the shift that happens when you stop chasing the next big thing and start dancing with the present moment. So as May 8th to 10th approaches, let yourself lean into spontaneity. Say yes to something unexpected. Take the scenic route. Message the person you've been thinking about. Try the idea that doesn't quite make sense, but keeps knocking at your heart. Gemini, you don't always need a map. Sometimes you just need the courage to walk, breathe, and let the wind carry you exactly where you were meant to be. Part 3, number 13, radical change and hidden blessings. At first glance, the number 13 often carries a reputation it doesn't deserve. In some cultures, it's avoided. In others, misunderstood. But in Buddhist numerology and spiritual insight, 13 is far from unlucky. It's the number of transformation, of radical change, and of blessings in disguise. Gemini, when 13 shows up, the universe isn't trying to scare you. It's trying to wake you up. You see, number 13 appears when a shift is required. Not a small adjustment, but a complete rethinking of how you've been living, thinking, or holding yourself back. It represents death and rebirth, not in the physical sense, but in the emotional and spiritual sense. The shedding of the old skin, the release of outdated roles, beliefs and stories that once served you, but no longer do. When the chrysalis cracks, it looks like destruction, but it's actually the beginning of wings. Let me tell you a story. There was a Gemini named Elena, a teacher in rural Spain. For years she taught with dedication, but silently felt called to something else, something creative, expressive, soulful. She dreamed of writing, of sharing healing stories rooted in her Buddhist practice, but always told herself, "It's too late, I'm not qualified." Then one spring, just days before her birthday, she saw the number 13 everywhere, on receipts, signs, books. At first, she dismissed it, but something nudged her to pay attention. That same week, her school announced unexpected restructuring. Her role was being phased out. At first, she panicked. Then, she remembered the 13s, the signs, the silent whisper she'd been ignoring. Instead of chasing another teaching job, she paused, journaled, meditated, and began writing. Within a year, she self-published a book of spiritual stories for children, blending Buddhist wisdom with modern life. It touched thousands, and more importantly, it awakened her own soul. That's the gift of 13. It arrives in moments that feel like endings, but they are really invitations. Invitations to pivot, to trust, to leap into the unknown, where your next chapter is waiting. In Buddhist thinking, suffering often comes from clinging to identities, roles, routines. Number 13 offers liberation by gently, or sometimes abruptly, removing what's no longer aligned. So ask yourself, Gemini, what have I been clinging to out of fear, not love? What part of me is quietly craving rebirth? Can I trust that the discomfort of change is a sacred teacher? As May 8th to 10th approaches, the presence of 13 in your chart isn't a warning, it's a blessing. Wearing the clothes of disruption. Don't resist the shake-up. Lean into it. Reorganize your space. Rethink your priorities. Say yes to that strange idea that won't leave you alone. Because number 13 is not chaos, it's cosmic renovation. And once the dust settles, you'll find that what emerges is not destruction, but the most honest, vibrant version of you at part 4. Number 33, the teacher's light and higher purpose. In the sacred language of numbers, few shine as brightly as 33. Known as the master teacher, 33 represents a rare and powerful vibration, wisdom that transforms into service. For Gemini, a sign of thought, curiosity, and expression. The arrival of 33 from May 8th to 10th is more than a coincidence. It's a soul-level invitation to step beyond mere knowledge and step into embodied purpose. You see, 33 isn't about being a guru on a pedestal. It's about being real, being brave enough to own your story, share your light, and uplift others through the truth you've lived. This number only shows up when you've been through enough. Not just to understand life, but to pass something on. Let me tell you a true story, Anna. A Gemini yoga instructor in Bali had been teaching movement and breathwork for years. But deep down, she carried a quiet insecurity. I'm not enlightened enough to guide others. Then during a retreat, the number 33 kept showing up. In her room number, on her journal pages, and even on a stranger's necklace. At first, she brushed it off, but after a deep meditation, a message came clear. You don't need to be perfect to teach. You only need to be present. That was her breakthrough. She stopped trying to appear flawless and instead began teaching from her lived truth, her past struggles with anxiety, her journey of spiritual healing, her ongoing imperfections. Her classes became more than movement. They became medicine, and they filled up. Her students said, "You made me feel seen." That's the power of 33. It asks, what lessons have you learned that could help someone else? What truth are you hiding because it feels too raw to be sacred? How would your life change if you let your experiences become someone else's permission, slip? Gemini, your voice has always been your gift, but now it's time to go deeper. Not to speak louder, but to speak with clarity, conviction, and compassion. Buddhist wisdom teaches that the true teacher is the one who teaches not with their mouth, but with their life. And that's where 33 becomes your mirror. It reflects the parts of you that have been through fire and come out softer, wiser, kinder. During this sacred window of energy, let yourself share your journey, even if it's still unfolding. Mentor someone who reminds you of your younger self. Write, teach, speak, guide, not to be impressive, but to be impactful. Because here's the truth. You don't need a stage to be a teacher. You don't need followers to be a leader. You only need the courage to let your truth be useful. When you step into the light of 33, you stop performing and start radiating. You become not just a seeker, but a source. So Gemini, let the world learn from you. Not from your perfection, but from your presence. You've lived enough. You've grown enough. Now is the time to teach from the heart. Part 5, number 44, Divine Protection and Solid Foundations. In the sacred code of numbers, 44 stands tall like a mountain, unshakable, grounded, and quietly powerful. Known as the Master Architect, number 44 brings the energy of divine protection, stability, and unbreakable foundation. While others chase speed, 44 reminds us what's built with patience, love, and intention will outlast any storm. Gemini, your natural energy is light, fast, adaptable. But 44 arrives to balance that motion with rootedness. It asks not just, what are you dreaming, but also what are you building to last? In spiritual numerology, 44 is double the energy of 22, making it not only a master builder, but a guardian of sacred purpose. It shows up when your ideas are ready to become infrastructure, when your goals need a plan, when your soul is ready to feel safe enough to grow. Let me share a story. David, a Gemini financial consultant in Canada, had always lived in the fast lane, shifting jobs, jumping from startup to startup, chasing freedom, but never quite feeling secure. Then during a personal retreat, he kept seeing the number 44 on digital clocks, room, keys, page numbers. It began to feel like a message. That night during journaling, he asked himself, what would it look like to stop running and start rooting? What came through surprised him. He didn't need to slow down his vision. He needed to slow down his foundation to build systems, savings boundaries, and support that would hold the big life he envisioned. Over the next months, David restructured everything, his routines, his finances, even his relationships. He made fewer but deeper commitments, and suddenly, things stabilized. His income grew, his anxiety decreased, and for the first time in his life, he didn't feel like he was surviving. He was solid. That's the magic of 44. It protects you by asking you to protect yourself. It grounds you not to limit you, but to liberate you from chaos. So ask yourself, Gemini, where do I crave more structure but avoid it out of fear? What am I constantly managing instead of systemizing? What would it look like to trust stability instead of resisting it? In Buddhist philosophy, the Eightfold Path speaks of right effort and right livelihood. These are not lofty ideas. They are daily disciplines, the bricks and beams of a spiritually aligned life. And 44 calls you back to that. Not as punishment, but as protection. Not to tie you down, but to raise you up on a platform of self-respect, daily rhythm, and unwavering values. During this sacred window of May 8th to 10th, let number 44 help you. Organize your finances, strengthen your spiritual routine, redefine your personal boundaries, build systems that support your vision long-term. Because when 44 is active, the universe is not just cheering you on, it's holding space for your success and helping you create containers strong enough to receive it. Gemini freedom without structure leads to burnout. But when you root your brilliance in steady ground, you become unstoppable. So this is your moment. Build not just for today, but for the legacy you're meant to leave. Part 6, number 22, master builder of dreams, into reality. If the number 6 invites you to find peace in the present, then number 22 urges you to build the future. Your soul came here to create. Known in numerology as the master builder, 22 is the most powerful number for manifesting big visions into grounded reality. It holds the energy of the dreamer, but with the hands of a builder, where others only imagine 22 constructs. Where most hesitate, 22 takes aligned action. And Gemini, this number couldn't arrive at a better time for you. You are full of ideas. Your mind is fertile soil. But number 22 doesn't want another concept or draft. It wants foundation structure, legacy. In Buddhist philosophy, the path from insight to embodiment is what makes transformation real. Meditation without action is incomplete. Wisdom without application is wasted. And 22 carries this same truth. What you feel deeply must now be built visibly. Let me share a true story. Diana, a Gemini based in Melbourne, was a gifted creative who had journals stacked with visions, business models, coaching programs, books. But her perfectionism stalled her every time she told herself, "When I'm ready, I'll start." Then one day her mentor gave her a hard truth. You're not stuck because of fear. You're stuck because you keep waiting for the version of you who no longer exists. It hit her. She chose one idea, one imperfect plan. She launched a small wellness brand online with only her phone and a borrowed camera. It wasn't flawless, but it was alive. Within months, a community formed. Clients appeared, not because it was perfect, but because it was true. That is the power of 22. It reminds us, the world doesn't need your polished plan. It needs your present courage. You don't have to build everything overnight, but you do have to start laying bricks. One act, one email, one conversation at a time. So ask yourself, what dream have I delayed because I wanted it to be flawless? What am I willing to build with heart, even if it scares me? Can I give myself permission to build while becoming? Number 22 is the bridge between vision and form, heaven and earth soul, and strategy. As May 8th to 10th approaches, this is your window to step up, not just spiritually, but structurally. Write the first page, launch the pilot, set the meeting, begin the plan, speak the truth, open the door. Because number 22 doesn't wait for miracles. It becomes the vessel for them. Gemini, your mind is brilliant, but this chapter isn't about thinking more. It's about trusting more, building more, becoming more. You're not just a messenger anymore. You're a maker. You're here not only to dream, but to deliver. Let 22 remind you your purpose isn't a fantasy. It's an assignment. And the world is quietly waiting for what only you can bring to life. Part 7, Meditation and Intention Setting. Rituals for Manifestation. Knowing your lucky numbers is only the beginning. The real magic happens when you turn that knowledge into sacred practice. In Buddhist tradition, transformation doesn't happen through belief alone. It happens through ritual mindfulness and embodied intention. When your outer actions reflect your inner clarity, that's when manifestation becomes magnetic. So Gemini, as you prepare for the powerful portal of May 8th to 10th, let's explore a few grounded yet spiritual rituals to turn your lucky numbers into living energy. 1. Morning candle meditation, 5 to 7 minutes. Each morning during this period, light a single candle. Sit quietly. Focus on your breath. Inhale, I receive clarity. Exhale, I release resistance. Once your mind is centered, visualize each lucky number. 7, 5, 13, 33, 44, 22, appearing in light. Not as lottery digits, but as sacred codes. What do they represent for you? 7, spiritual awakening. 13, transformation. 22 manifestation, 33 wisdom, 44 foundation, 5 liberation. Let these meanings imprint into your heart as intentions, not just outcomes. 2. Prayer bead, affirmation using mala or rosary. Hold a set of 6 beads or a mala. As you touch each bead, whisper an affirmation for one number. With 7, I awaken to my truth. With 13, I embrace change with grace. With 22, I build my vision into reality. With 33, I lead through wisdom. With 44, I create lasting security. With 5, I flow with freedom. Repeat this for 3 full rounds. Let each word ring with sincerity, not speed. 3, lucky number. Journaling each evening, open your journal and choose one number. Reflect with questions like, where is this number showing up in my life today? What quality does it want me to embody? How did I align or resist its energy? You'll start to notice patterns. You may even dream in numbers. Pay attention. 4, offering practice, dana in action. In Buddhist practice, dana generosity opens karmic flow. Choose one act each day. Donate $5, $13, or $22 to a cause you care about. Write a letter of gratitude to someone who shaped you. Share knowledge without expecting anything in return. This releases attachment and welcomes abundance. 5, moonlight grounding. Optional. Night of May 9th, if possible, sit under the moon. Place a small bowl of water with your written numbers folded beneath it. Breathe deeply. Visualize your intentions flowing into the water and then into the sky. Whisper, these numbers are not luck. They are alignment. I am ready. These rituals aren't rules. They're invitations. Choose what resonates. Leave what doesn't. But do it with heart. Because the universe responds not to pressure but to presence. Part 8. Daily practices to anchor this energy. Knowing your lucky numbers 7, 13, 22, 33, 44, and 5 is powerful. But true transformation happens not through knowing, but through anchoring. Through small, consistent daily habits that align your spirit, your thoughts, and your actions with the flow of abundance. Gemini here are 5 simple but sacred practices to help you stay connected to the energy these numbers carry. Not just from May 8th to 10th, but long after one morning gratitude pulse inspired by 7. Spiritual awareness. Each morning before reaching for your phone, place your hand on your heart and say, I am thankful for what I already have. I am open to what's meant for me. Then name 7 small things you're grateful for, big or small. This trains your mind to notice abundance already present, which magnetizes more. 2. The rule of 13. 1 bold step a day. 13. Transformation. Every day, take one tiny action that nudges you out of your comfort zone. Speak your truth. Clean out a drawer. Start the email you've been avoiding. These are the butterfly flaps of personal evolution. Just one shift a day opens massive energetic doors. 3. Vision sketching with 22 Master Builder energy. Spend 2 to 5 minutes each day, sketching or writing what your life will feel like when it aligns fully. Don't write a to-do list. Instead, describe the vibe, your space, your relationships, how you wake up, how you give. Number 22 helps you shift from dreamer to designer. This exercise turns invisible ideas into magnetic blueprints. 4. Heart Truth Check-in. 33. Teacher's Light. In the evening, reflect. Where did I speak from my heart today? Where did I stay silent and why? Let number 33 remind you teach through living, not preaching. Even small, honest expressions create ripples. Don't underestimate the power of your words. And example. 5. Sacred Structure and Giving. 44. Pla 5. Foundation. Plia Freedom. Each week, choose one small system to upgrade. Meal plan for 2 days. Auto transfer $5 into savings. Block 30 minutes of quiet time on your calendar. Then practice generosity. Give something away freely. Your time, your knowledge, a meal, or even just a smile. Number 5 reminds us true freedom comes not from having everything, but needing less and giving more. These aren't tasks. They are soul anchors. They remind the universe, I'm not just asking for abundance, I'm aligning with it. And Gemini, when you live like that, the flow doesn't just visit. It stays Gemini after exploring these 6 sacred numbers, 7, 5, 33, 44, and 22. We've uncovered something far deeper than luck. These numbers aren't just symbols. They're spiritual coordinates. Each one points to a part of your soul that's ready to awaken. Ivan whispers, listen to the quiet wisdom inside. 5, it frees you. It says, let the wind guide you now. 13 challenges you. Let go. Transformation is your rebirth. 33 invites you to teach through the truth you've lived. 44 protects your path and grounds your purpose. 22 calls you to build your dreams into something real. This is more than numerology. This is your spiritual blueprint for May 8th to 10th. A divine window where alignment becomes momentum and momentum becomes miracles. But here's the final truth. The numbers don't work without you. The universe doesn't move unless you say yes. The jackpot isn't the prize you are. So now take a breath. Look at where you've been. Feel where you are. And choose where you'll go next. Not with fear, but with faith. To anchor this energy like this video, to lock in your alignment, subscribe so you never miss another spiritual download. And in the comments type, I am aligned with 7, 5, 13, 33, 44, and 22, and I am ready to receive. Your intention is your ignition and your time. Gemini is right now. Let the stars guide you. Let the numbers support you. And let your soul lead the way home.